The Lives of the Saints by Father Alban Butler, May 24th. Our Lady, Help of Christians. On today's date, the Church commemorates once again the Blessed Virgin under her invocation of Mary, Help of Christians. The devotion to this feast, instituted at the beginning of the last century by Pope Pius VII, was in constant increase and reached its greatest increase, which subsists until our days, when Don Bosco gathered a numerous and enthusiastic feminine youth in the schools, the high schools, and the religious order of Mary Help of Christians. The history of the establishment of the Feast of Mary Help of Christians could not be more moving and edifying. The French Revolution had dealt a severe blow to the Church and completely unhinged the Christian religion. In 1799, the young and courageous general Napoleon Bonaparte overthrew the Directory, took over the government, put an end to the revolution, and devoted all his efforts to calming tempers and putting society in order. As Napoleon was deeply convinced of the beneficial influence that the Christian religion exerted on the people, from the beginning of his government, he determined to re-establish Catholicism in France. He annulled the revolutionary laws of proscription, allowed the priests to return to their churches, gave back to the bishops their cathedrals, parishes, and seminaries, and adjusted with Pope Pius VII a concordat to settle in a permanent way the ecclesiastical matters. With these measures, France was again, in a short time, a flourishing, prosperous, and increasingly powerful country. At the same time, Napoleon, inebriated by his triumphs and dragged by his disordered ambition, demanded from the Pope some things that the head of the Church could not grant, as, for example, to annul the legitimate marriage of a brother of the Emperor, or to close the ports of the Papal States to the English, the Swedes, and the Russians. To Napoleon's emissaries who came to the Vatican with such pretensions, Pius VII replied firmly, "We are the father of Christianity, and we will treat no one as an enemy." That was enough to inflame the passions of the emperor, who was enraged by the firm resistance of the pontiff and launched himself against the head of the Church. In 1809, Napoleon seized the Papal States and then had the audacity to seize Pius VII. The Pope was taken to Savona and later to the castle of Fontainebleau, where he remained a prisoner. It is said that every day during the 5 years he was imprisoned, he dedicated a special part of the time of his prayers to Mary Most Holy, Help of Christians, so that she would protect the persecuted, ungoverned, and helpless Church. During that period, good fortune turned its back on Napoleon, and, after a series of military setbacks, the empire fell at the beginning of 1814. It was precisely in the castle of Fontainebleau, where the Pope was imprisoned, that the emperor signed his abdication. The head of the Church was given back the Papal States. An agreement was signed in which it was proclaimed that the spiritual power would recover all its rights and the position from which the French conquest had thrown it. And on May 24th, 1814, Pius VII made a triumphal entry into Rome, amidst the tolling of bells, the delirious acclamations of the crowd, and showers of flowers, to occupy his see. The years of misfortune and imprisonment had strengthened rather than exhausted that man of advanced age who showed extraordinary energy, firmness, and decision to reorganize his Church and to reawaken the religious life that had experienced so many shocks. It took a long time, great prudence, and a very patient dedication to bring Catholicism back into the hearts and social order. However, the elderly Pius VII accomplished that colossal task in a relatively short time. Once reinstalled in the chair of St. Peter, he restored the Society of Jesus and reopened its colleges in the Eternal City. Through concordats and agreements with kings and princes, he re-established the bishoprics that had been suppressed, reorganized propaganda, gave impetus to the propagation of the faith, and, as if by a miracle, by mid-1815, after the second and definitive abdication of Napoleon, when the Pope gave asylum to the family of the defeated and exiled emperor, the Church had recovered its position and its spiritual power. This is how the pontiff considered it, as a miracle of the Blessed Virgin to whom he had prayed so much for the Church. It was then that Pius VII had the happy idea of expressing the gratitude of the entire Catholic world to the Virgin Mary under her invocation of Help of Christians, and as an express recognition of the infallible protection of the Mother of God, so often attested by extraordinary prodigies, on the Church and the children of the Church in defense of the faith against Moors, Turks, heretics, revolutionaries, and all the declared enemies of Christianity. instituted the Feast of Mary Help of Christians on May 24th to perpetuate the memory of her triumphal entry into Rome on her return from captivity in France. Since then, the Feast of Mary Help of Christians has concentrated the devotion of Christianity to this day.